back to the Uprising Network. Now, another review for you episode. I gotta get more consistent with these, man. I know I have to get more consistent. I'm working on it. I've been moving. As you see, I don't even have my green screen set up, so I'm in the middle of my living room right now. So bear with me on that, but still the same content nonetheless. Alright, so first things first. I'm a little ill-prepared, but I'm ready to talk about the movie. I ain't really prepared too much because it's going to feel very scripted. Now, with that said, I saw Roman J. Israel Esquire this over the weekend and whatnot, and I'm always excited about new Denzel movies. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the last few movies that Denzel has been in, so I can make a certain point. Now, I'm always excited about to see my Uncle Denzel because he never, ever disappoints. At least for me, he doesn't. And that goes by the last few movies that he's been in. So if we check out the last few movies that he's been in, let's go over the last, 17? Let's do the last 10 years. So within the last 10 years, let's start with 2007. American Gangster came out in 2007. That's one. The Great Debaters. It's two. These I'm counting as far as like great movies. The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 was So 2 out of 3 so far. The Book of Eli. I think that was a pretty good movie. So that's 3 out of 4 so far. Unstoppable. I don't think I've seen or heard of Unstoppable. Safe House. So that's 3 out of 5. So Safe House. It's 4 out of 6. I enjoyed Safe House. I enjoyed that. Flight, which is one of my top 5 Denzel Washington movies. I'm gonna put a list together of my top 5 movies, top 5 songs, and all that stuff that I feel like Denzel. I'm gonna start putting lists together. Since I read everybody else's lists and comments and all their opinions about stuff, I'm gonna start putting my stuff out there. That's what I'm gonna do. So right now we at 5 of 7. Okay, Two Guns. I saw it, but it wasn't really memorable. So let's go 5 of 8. Excuse me. 5 of 8. The Equalizer. I enjoyed it. I believe that's when he was like a hitman or something like that, or worked for someone. He was fighting the movie in the Home Depot and all that. So that's 6 out of 9. Okay, 6 out of 9. Magnificent 7. I know that was filmed. Was it Antoine Fuqua? Was that? It says Antoine Fuqua, but I thought it was Quentin Tarantino. I might be mixing that up with like The Grateful 8 or something like that. One of the two, but I didn't see that. That was the cowboy western movie. I didn't see that, so I'm gonna count that as that's null and void. So we're still at 6 of 9 right now. Fences, 7 of 10. I love Fences. Fences is in my top 5 Denzel movies as well. Roman J. Israel Esquire. We're going to get to that, and then also you have Equalizer 2 coming up. So 6 out of 10. Well, we'll just say more than less. I lost track of it. I enjoyed Denzel Washington movies, so I go out and see every last one of them besides 2 or 3 that I didn't mention. So I'm always excited to see him. So when I saw the preview for this, I was excited. The movie, the music in the trailer was good, and it was very upbeat, and it showed Denzel not really being Denzel. Like Denzel can be, sometimes he plays like the same kind of roles. It's just Denzel in a different movie. But this movie, he was like dressed up, and he had, more weight on him. He had longer hair and all that. So I was excited about that. So I remember seeing a trailer months ago and was like, yeah, this is one I'm definitely gonna go out to see. So I believe I saw it Thanksgiving Day. Maybe after Thanksgiving Day. Maybe Black Friday. I wanted to go see it. But anyway, the theater was pretty. It wasn't empty, but it was just a few people straggling around in there. I went it was maybe one of the first showings of the film of the day, and so. I didn't know much about the movie at all besides the fact that he was a lawyer in it. And that's pretty much all I needed to know. Like, it's Denzel, he's playing a lawyer, bam, I'm there, I'm going to see it. So with that said, now Roman J. Israel Esquire, because he makes sure that you know he's an Esquire. It's like, that's the prestigious level, that's like right below a knight. Like, it's Esquire, then there's like knight, which is the highest form of like the signatories, whatever. But anyway, so it begins with Roman J. Israel Esquire. He's a partner in a small law firm, black owned and operated. And one of his friends, his partner, who is the face of the franchise, he has a heart attack. Now, Roman, Denzel's character, he isn't really a people person at all. And that's one thing I really like, because he was really in a character. It didn't feel like this was Denzel in a whole different movie. He was really in a character. He was very awkward, very argumentative. Like he is not a people person whatsoever. So when his partner has a heart attack, he is forced to be the face of the firm. Okay. So with that said, he has to go to court. He has to talk to these other people. He's really the mastermind behind the scenes doing everything, while his partner is the face. So the face is going now. He has to step forward, and he doesn't like it very much. Now, as the movie progresses, his friend, it's on the tip of my tongue what the name of his partner name was. He is basically slow. His health is deteriorating, so it's getting worse and getting worse. And I believe it's his daughter, or it's a family member of some sort, comes and tells Denzel's character Roman that the firm is falling apart, and over the years, his partner has been hiding information from him, and basically the firm is not making any money. It's more like a charity community service case, and they hire this guy to come in and basically take control of it, their clients, until all the cases are resolved, and then they can go ahead and dissolve the firm whatsoever. So Denzel tries to fight that, like, no, I'm going to stay here. I've been here 30 some odd years through the Black Panther movement and all these different things going on in LA through the civil rights era, everything. I've been here, so I'm going to stay here. And little do you know that that doesn't work out. So eventually he gets pushed out because there are a few clients that he gives some advice to. Now, like I said, mind you, he's not a people person whatsoever. Oh, and by the way, I'm spoiling the movie. As usual, review for you fashion, I am spoiling the movie. I'm not going to tell you what happens at the end, but I am spoiling what the plot of the movie is, okay? Where was I? Oh, okay, so he's forced out. So he's forced to find a job. Now, he's had this one job 30 some odd years. And he's forced to find a job, so he's going to different community outreach places and maybe feel like he can help them, excuse me, with his knowledge and information and history and whatnot. And there's a few of them that are like nonprofit that he goes to. So he's looking to say that, yo, I think I'll be very beneficial to be a part of your organization. They laugh him out of the room because it's a nonprofit organization. They don't have as much funding to pay Denzel the salary. So he's very hard and pressed on money. He's living in this very straggly, rundown apartment, and he is like super pressed for money. Now, this was something I've always thought, like, why don't people do this? But I find out that it's against the law to do this, and based on the movie, you can see why, if it wasn't against the law, you shouldn't do it in the first place. Now, Denzel come across this like wanted poster for this murder that takes place, and the reward for information leading up to the arrest of the person that committed the crime, they receive $100,000. Mind you, Denzel is pressed for money. He has no money. He has like no clients, nothing right now. So he's pressed. So what does he do? He gets the reward. He finds a way to get the reward money because his client, one of his clients that he was working with, they died before he can go to trial, and he was supposed to testify against someone. And he knew where the person was that was wanted. Therefore, he knew he could get the $100,000 because he knew that's where he knew where the guy was. He knew all the different background, whatever. So he's very suspicious. He calls on a payphone in the middle of the night, changing his voice up, and he's saying like, "Yo, I know who did it." He gave him the name. He gave him where the dude is. All right. Well, you gotta meet me. Like, dump the money off in a dumpster. I'll have them dumpster marked. Dump the money in a dumpster in a bag and cash, and then we can go from there. So they do get the information. He gets the money. And there's a series of events going on. Denzel finds a job. The dude that basically takes over the small firm hires him because he got so much experience and whatnot. And he feels like he'd definitely be an asset to the company. I'm skipping over a lot because there's still more that you need to see, even if you watch the review. So Denzel, he has $100,000. He goes shopping, getting suits, because the suits he had on in the movie was through the literally civil rights area. It looked like he stepped straight out of an episode of Good Times. It felt like watching the movie. I could smell a thrift store through the movie. I could smell a thrift store through the movie. That's how his suits were looking. So he splurging, gets a new place, new clothes, da 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 da. And one of his first clients is the person that he turned in for the $100,000. Which is like, oh my God, like how? So he's being forced to defend. Excuse me. He's being forced to defend the person that he turned in. He got the $100,000. Now he has to defend this person, which is crazy. I always wonder, like, damn, if lawyers know that I can get the money the way he did it. Now, it's against the law. The firm finds out, and most importantly, the dude that he's forced to defend finds out that Denzel turned him in. And if you have any like kind of like street knowledge, like common knowledge, you kind of figure out what happens at that point, right? Once he figures out who turned him in, and he's looking at life, okay, yeah, bad things begin to happen for Roman J. Israel Esquire. Okay, I don't want to tell too much of what happens at the end, but let's go into the more detailed reviews of it. Like, there's so much that goes on, but there's a lot of positives, but there is some negatives. Now, my negatives are, let's go to some more positives. Denzel does a great job. It's almost like, it reminds me of like Russell Westbrook last season, where he's putting on an MVP performance. He's done a great performance, and he has to drag the rest of these people with him through the movie. It's like, okay, come on. But the story, it's like the writer just wrote all these plots in the movie, like, okay, this happened, this happened, and hoping that Denzel can somehow pull all these things together and make it cohesive. But the writing is just not there. Now, through the movie, Denzel has this briefcase that he's carrying around everywhere. This big old, heavy, old school briefcase, and he has this these stacks of paperwork in the briefcase. But they never tell what is in the paperwork. All he says is that I have this, it's called a briefing, something like that. This briefing that'll uncover such and such and such. But it doesn't go into detail what was in it. It's almost like, he's in Charlie Brown Linus with the blanket. He's just carrying around all the time. He has this briefcase all the time. But he doesn't tell exactly what he has that will turn on the government or a corruption scandal or something. He doesn't tell at all through the movie. So I'm going back doing more research, trying to figure out exactly what is going on. I can't even find it online what's in the briefcase. They don't even say online what it is. So I'm just confused. Something bad happens to Denzel. He does an incredible job with the acting. Incredible job. Shot beautifully. The writing just was not up to par. But it did have me on the edge of my seat. What it bothers me the most during films these days is that I figure out what's going to happen less than midway through it, and it just takes it away from me. It's like, why do I have to watch the rest if I know what's going to happen? And 9.5 times out of 10, I know what happens. But this did not get me though. This didn't get me. So I'm like, through the whole thing, I'm seeing like, okay, I'm on the edge of my seat, but there's parts that just doesn't add up and doesn't make sense. That made me feel like I nodded off or something. Like, I didn't understand. So when the ending happens and the dude that sets him up, not sets him up, but like gives him the job and whatnot, opens the briefcase, still doesn't tell what's in the briefcase and what's going on with it. I still don't know. Like, I'm gonna have to do more research or watch the movie again, Fire Stick, Bootleg, whatever. I don't know. I gotta figure out what was in the briefcase. It doesn't really say. If I missed it, they say it and I just don't understand, let me know in the comments. Let me know on social media something, because I don't know. Through the movie, I give it a 5. I give it an average 5, solid 5, because Denzel did such a great job. If it wasn't for Denzel, I don't know. When I look at the reviews online, that pretty much lines up with everybody else's. I've seen some people give it a 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10. I'm like, okay, it ain't that bad. It's not that great, but it ain't that bad. So that's my review on Roman J. Israel Esquire. Is it something to go out rush to see? No. If it comes out on BT or HBO or something, yeah, check it out. It's worth checking it out then. But going out to see it in theaters, nah, it's not. Denzel, out of all the movies that I listed in the beginning, this is his best performance, but overall, as far as the movie, probably the worst movie out of all of the last 10 years. One of his best performances, one of the worst movies in the last 10 years from Denzel. So just keep on rocking with your boy. Stay tuned. I'm definitely gonna have more reviews more often, more video reviews more often, because I see movies and stuff all the time. I just don't write about them or review them. That Thor was great, by the way. That's probably the last great movie that I saw. But anyway, till next time, I want you guys to continue to stay creative, stay supporting the network. Check out the Uprising.tv app, the website, everything. Everybody that's even involved with all the production and projects on the network, shout them out. Like, hit them up and say how much you appreciate them and you see how they're doing a great job. In the meantime, I want y'all to be safe out there and stay tuned till we come back.